Stepping into the room, my heart plummeted. The sight before me was devastating. My cherished accessories and beloved clothing were gone. Panic surged through me as I reached for my cell phone to call the police. Just then, my mother-in-law erupted in laughter, her voice laced with cruel amusement. Predictably upset, I see, she sneered, clearly relishing my stunned expression. Her next words were unbelievable. "Yes, that's right. I cleared out your things. They were unnecessary after all." I was speechless. Why would she discard my belongings without my permission, deeming them unnecessary? As I prepared to confront her, she began to explain, "How long do you intend to stay in our house?" "Leave as soon as possible. I cleared everything to simplify your departure. You should be grateful." Her words made the malicious intent clear. She was trying to force me out. If that was her goal, I had no desire to maintain any semblance of peace. "Understood. I'll move out," I stated. "If you understand, then make it sooner. Please move out soon." "Yes, but please give me a week to find a new place." "Fine, I'll allow that. Just make sure you're gone in a week with a week to prepare." I set out to find a new home. I would find a place and have my revenge. My name is Mary, and I'm a freelance illustrator. I took the leap into freelancing 3 years ago after graduating from vocational school. After working at an animation production company and saving up, I decided to pursue independence. When I told my husband, Ken, about my decision, I was relieved by his enthusiastic support. "Mary, if that's the path you want to take, I won't oppose it. Give it your all." "I'll support you," he said. Ken and I have been together since vocational school, navigating different career paths while maintaining our relationship. We married in our 3rd year as working professionals. This year marks our 8th anniversary, and I'm incredibly grateful for his support. Despite initial hurdles and frequent setbacks as a freelancer, I persevered. I continued drawing and posting on social media, and eventually, one of my illustrations gained unexpected traction. This led to my rise as a prominent illustrator on social media. Jobs from companies and apps for sticker designs started rolling in, and my monthly income soon exceeded $8,000. I'm truly grateful for your encouragement. "It's the result of your hard work, Mary. You're amazing," Ken said. I can't express my gratitude enough. Had he opposed my decision to become independent, none of this would have been possible. I wouldn't have achieved this income level without my persistent efforts. Although my savings aren't substantial yet, my goal is to buy a house and create my own workspace. Our current apartment is becoming increasingly cramped, making it difficult to store important documents. One day, my husband suggested a potential solution. "Why don't we move into my parents' house? There's a spare room there, and it's just my mom living there now. What do you think?" I was taken aback. "Really? Are you sure that's okay?" He reassured me. "Yes, I've already discussed it with my mom. Ever since my dad left with his affair partner when I was young, that room has been vacant. Mom said it's fine for you to use it." It was a generous offer, and I saw no reason to refuse. I agreed to the move, and 2 weeks later, we visited his family's house. My mother-in-law greeted us warmly. "It's been a while, Mary," she said. "Yes, it has," I replied. "I've heard from Ken that you're a popular illustrator now." "Oh, it's nothing like that," she said modestly. "Feel free to use the room as you like. Come in," she invited us with a smile. I felt at ease with my seemingly kind mother-in-law. Having left my husband's family home to focus on my creative pursuits, I began a new chapter at my mother's. Unbeknownst to me, this move would reveal unforeseen family dynamics. 3 months in, I had comfortably settled into the new surroundings, pleased with my productive workspace and the significant boost in my income. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. However, just 2 months later, life took an unexpected turn. "What should I do now?" my husband sighed upon arriving home, newly unemployed. Worried, I inquired about the circumstances surrounding his dismissal from the major trading company where he'd worked in industrial product sales since vocational school. Initially assuming a minor performance issue, I was shocked by his revelation. "I've been fired." "Laid off," he corrected, but the distinction offered little comfort. He explained that his department was underperforming and deemed a financial burden. Given the ultimatum of a severe pay cut or a reasonable severance package, the company effectively downsized him. Speechless and helpless, I watched as the company he'd dedicated years to discarded him so easily. The following day, my husband remained idle at home. I anticipated a swift job search, but he seemed hesitant. The weight of financial responsibility shifted to me. Determined to compensate for the lost income, I intensified my work, often laboring from dawn till dusk, sacrificing meals. I questioned my relentless pace, yet the results spoke for themselves. At month's end, a staggering $440,000 was deposited, a sum I'd never encountered before. "Hey, there's no need to rush into finding a job right now," I informed my husband. "We earned $440,000 this month alone. We can manage if we're careful with our spending." "Wow, that's impressive," he replied, surprise coloring his tone, but a coldness in his eyes left me questioning my decision to disclose my earnings. The next day, my mother-in-law's demands began. "Mary, come here for a moment," she bellowed from downstairs, interrupting my work. Descending, I was met with a direct request: "Do the laundry for me." Explaining my unfinished work, I was met with, "You can do that later." "You've been quiet so far, but isn't it time you contributed to the housework? You're a daughter-in-law, after all." Her bluntness gave me pause. Recognizing the validity of her point, I acknowledged my negligence, having been so engrossed in my work that I'd left all household chores to her. "Understood," I conceded. "I'll do the laundry as soon as I finish this." True to my word, upon completing my tasks, I tackled the laundry and tidied the living room, rationalizing the break as occasionally necessary. However, from that day forward, my mother-in-law's demands escalated. "You're always drawing like a child," she would criticize. "If you have time for that, you should go shopping. I can't imagine your paintings ever selling." Overwhelmed by mounting chores and criticisms, I found myself increasingly burdened. My daily routine had become unbearable. I was roused before 5 a.m. to make breakfast, resulting in persistent sleep deprivation. My ability to concentrate wavered, and my work output plummeted. While my earnings hadn't drastically decreased yet, I feared I wouldn't be able to maintain my job if this persisted. I resolved to speak with my husband privately. "Your mother seems to have taken a dislike to me recently and is always criticizing me," I began. "I don't mind helping around the house, but being given chores from dawn till dusk every day is impacting my work. I need you to speak to her and ask her to stop." "What a pain," he retorted. "Why don't you tell her yourself? And if you can't handle work, why don't you relocate? You have your own income." "What? Why would you say that?" I replied, feeling frustrated. "I'm working so hard while you've been idle, not even searching for employment." He had a point, but confronting my mother-in-law directly was difficult. He dismissed my concerns and went to bed, leaving me unable to have a productive discussion. 6 months crawled by. I was mentally and physically exhausted from the constant mistreatment by my mother-in-law. Despite my fatigue, my husband remained jobless. My work suffered significantly, and my income dwindled to less than half of what it once was. "I can't endure this any longer," I thought one day, overwhelmed. I left the house and found myself at a nearby park, seeking solace on a bench. After an hour, I returned home, but the thought of working felt insurmountable. I decided to take a nap. Opening my bedroom door, I froze in disbelief. "What's this?" I whispered. My cherished accessories and favorite clothes were gone. Panic surged, and I was about to contact the police when my mother-in-law's voice cut through the silence. "Predictably upset, I see," she sneered. "What do you mean, predictably?" I asked, bewildered. Her laughter was sharp and condescending. "Yes, that's right. I got rid of your things. They were all superfluous." I was speechless. Why had she disposed of my belongings without my permission? As I struggled to comprehend her actions, she continued, "How much longer are you planning to stay here? Just leave already. I cleared everything out to simplify your departure. You should be grateful." Her words made it crystal clear. Her mistreatment was intended to force me out. If that was her desire, I had no further inclination to appease her. "I understand. I'll move out," I stated. "Good. Make sure you do it quickly, she replied. Yes, please allow me a week to find a new place, I requested. Fine, you have a week. Just be gone by then, she conceded. I quickly secured a new residence. While initially considering a detached house, I ultimately opted for a luxurious high-rise apartment to make a statement. I was leaving not only my mother-in-law, but also my husband, who was indolently relying on my income and making no effort to find work. Thankfully, I had saved enough money before my income declined, which I used for the move. I signed the lease and was prepared to leave at any moment. When the week was up, I packed my remaining belongings. On my departure day, I filed for divorce. Did you sign this and return it to the court? I asked my husband. Huh? What's this? He responded, perplexed. This is a summons from the court. Why are we suddenly discussing divorce? He asked, clearly bewildered. At first, I sympathized with you when you lost your job, but your refusal to seek employment and your indifference towards your mother's treatment of me have made me question the purpose of remaining married. Getting divorced means I'm leaving this home, I stated firmly. I hadn't mentioned it before, but I'm departing today. But where will you go? What will you do? He queried, his tone a blend of confusion and disbelief. I've already secured a new place, I replied. Remember, you were the one who suggested I move out. Are you truly okay with this? He asked. I couldn't help but smile. Am I okay? I'm more concerned about a future without you. I'm done here. Finally convinced, my husband agreed to the divorce. A weight lifted from my shoulders. The obligation to support him was gone. Next, I addressed my mother-in-law. Why did you make my life so miserable? I confronted her. The harassment began after I discussed my income. Evidently, something about my financial success was upsetting. Thank you for everything so far, she said dismissively. Honestly, I'm relieved I won't have to see your face anymore. Why did you start treating me poorly? I pressed. Was it solely because of my income? It's not a big deal, really, she retorted. I didn't like that you were earning more than Ken. You were making $40,000 a month at one point, more than your husband. A wife should earn less to preserve her husband's image. She continued, besides, Ken has been footing the household expenses, even when he was unemployed. He's a wonderful man, unlike you. I was stunned. This negativity stemmed from such a petty concern, and she evidently believed my husband was covering all the bills. I couldn't help but anticipate the difficulties they'd encounter without my income. But I kept my thoughts to myself. I understand now, I stated coldly. A wife who cannot support her husband should depart. Goodbye, I said. With those final words, I left their house, headed for my luxurious new apartment. En route, I stopped at the post office to officially sever ties by returning the divorce documents to the court. I had no intention of assisting them should they face hardship. Once I reached my new apartment, I began to unpack. The spacious room and ample workspace were perfect. It was time to focus on work. A month later, a call from my ex-husband. What could he possibly want? I ignored it. Calls continued, but I reluctantly answered. What do you want? I asked, feeling annoyed. Mary, where are you? He inquired. I'm at home working. What do you need? I'd like to meet you in person, he said. Why? I retorted. Let's meet, he pleaded. It's such a hassle. About to hang up, I heard my former mother-in-law's voice. Mary, it's been a while. I have something to discuss. Her usually assertive voice sounded almost pleading. I agreed, fine, but I won't go out. Come to my place. I'll send Ken the address. After the call, I sent the location to my ex-husband, curious about their purpose. Once everything was settled, I returned to work. 30 minutes later, the doorbell rang. They arrived. This place is amazing, they remarked. If you just want to chat, leave. If there's something serious, speak quickly. They seemed stunned by the appearance of my home. Incredible, they exclaimed. Mary, you live in a gorgeous place. Their reaction was almost like that of tourists, despite their supposed serious matter. What do you want? I asked, trying to sound as dismissive as possible. If there was no genuine issue, I wanted them gone. Mary, we need your help. We can't afford our living expenses. Even the electricity, gas, and water have been cut off. They spoke in a panicked rush. Could you help us? Even a little? Why should I? I countered. I had no intention of helping them, especially after the treatment I'd endured. Don't play games with me. Why should I assist you? You live in such a grand place. You can afford to help a little, they argued. We were once family, and I admit I made mistakes. Can't you help us just a bit? Their audacity was breathtaking. I worked incredibly hard to achieve my current position. You wouldn't understand the effort I put in, I retorted, my frustration rising. Even before the divorce, I was supporting your lifestyle. The harassment from my mother-in-law cost me job opportunities. You exploited my income and relied on it. Their silence was all the response I needed. This conversation was over. If you return, I'll call the police. Goodbye. I never want to see you again. Wait, Mary. So what should we do now? They asked, remarkably persistent despite everything. That's not my problem. You could start working part-time or find other means of support. Figure it out yourselves. I stated firmly. I've made it clear, I'm not inclined to help those who've been so dismissive of me. My voice rose with mounting frustration. I yelled at them, and their shocked expressions showed they finally grasped the seriousness of their situation. They hurried away, and I felt a sense of satisfaction watching them go. Their desperation, so different from their prior arrogance, was unforgettable. Helping them was utterly out of the question. I returned to my work, determined to move forward. A month later, I finished work early and decided to enjoy some free time. I remembered not opening the living room curtains. I pulled them back, glancing outside. To my surprise, I saw my former mother-in-law and ex-husband walking around my apartment building. Still persistent, I thought. They didn't come to my door. They were likely mindful of my warning. Intrigued, I watched them from the window and called. Hello? What are you doing? What do you mean? What are we doing? My ex-husband replied, sounding defensive. We're just walking around. I can see you from here. Don't make me call the police. No, we're just here. We're not doing anything wrong, he insisted. So, what do you want? Did you come to ask for my help? Well, yes, but I've started working as a contract worker, and I haven't received my salary yet. Could you lend me some money? I'll pay you back, he pleaded. It took being cornered to get you to ask for help. Good you found a job. If you're working, you should be able to borrow money from someone else. Goodbye. I ended the call abruptly. About an hour later, I heard police sirens. Excitement surged. I approached the window and saw my ex-husband and his mother being escorted into a police car. I hadn't called the police. Someone else must have reported their suspicious behavior. After that incident, they seemed to have completely abandoned the idea of relying on me. I didn't see them again, and I made sure to delete my ex-husband's contact information and change my phone number. From then on, I lived my life for myself.